Thank you. First order of business is I'd like to, Josh has a statement from Ms. Myers.
Commissioner Myers will not be, obviously not able to attend today. She has another commitment. She just wanted that read into the minutes of the meeting.
So the first order of business is call the workshop to order and introductions. So please, can we have a roll call and a declaration of quorum?
Commissioner Myers is excused. Gloria Mills. Glenn Brown.
Here.
Brett, and if you're there, can you please pronounce your last name for me? I think it's Gottschalk. Artie Fryer. You're here? Okay, thank you. Artie Fryer.
Not here, sorry.
Artie Fryer's here.
Thank you. Craig Fursell.
Here.
Tracy Noyes.
Here.
Emily Hugart. Christina Melling.
Here.
Beth Pasek.
Here.
Mark Harshberger. Deborah LaKenta.
Here.
Dr. Gordon. Alexia Wiggins.
Here.
Councilman Schisler.
Here.
Kristen Thomas. Megan Krieger. Indira Chambers.
Here.
John Vargas.
Here.
Cassandra Blaylock. Jerry Stickney.
Here.
Karen Smith. We do have an in-person quorum. Chair, would you call for a vote of consent for remote participation?
Thank you. Okay. Having that, we'll call for a vote for consent for remote participation.
Motion. I'll second.
All in favor, indicate aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay.
And who made the motion?
Beth Pasek.
Thank you. And who was the second?
Glenn Brown.
Thank you.
Okay, moving forward, the workshop presentations. Mr. Barber.
We are one short of a quorum, but that doesn't affect us at the moment. So hopefully one more member will show up. Yeah, in one more. Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Josh Barber, TPO staff. As you all know, every year we're required to host an annual public workshop. In the past, we've talked about stuff like shared mobility and public awareness of the Sunshine Line. Today, I'm just going to give you all a brief overview of the TV system, just kind of reorient grade one, just as a reminder of the orientation presentation that everyone gets when they first join the board. Just a refresher. A little program history. The state legislature created the CTD in 1989 to serve as transportation of last resort for people with disabilities, those who are low income, children at risk, and older adults. Okay. The Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners has been designated as the Community Transportation Coordinator for the county since 1990. Sunshine Line, which is a department within the county, serves as the operator. The local coordinating boards were established at the county level to provide information on local service needs, information, advice, and direction on the coordination of services to be provided for the transportation disadvantage. Obviously, you all know each other, quite the agglomeration of agencies represented as well as citizens who use the system. Who are the transportation disadvantaged? You all know people over the age of 65, low income, people with disabilities, as well as children at risk. We advise both the Sunshine Line primarily, but as well as the larger TPO board. We're not an advisory committee to the TPO board. We are our own board that makes our own decisions within our realm of action. We also advise the Board of County Commissioners, who's the CCC, the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged as well on local issues that have state relevance, as well as the Florida legislature at the end of the day. Our roles and duties, really are facilitating a coordinated system. At the TPO level, we facilitate these meetings, help to facilitate dialogue around community issues, and coordinate services among all of our agencies. So that means Sunshine Line, PART, as well as the coordination contractors who receive Section 310 dollars. And some of our major work products for the TPO, at least, are the annual CTC evaluation that occurs at the end of every fiscal year, which ends June 30th. And as well as the Transportation Disadvantage Service Plan, we're required to do that yearly as well. There's a 5-year update, a major update that coincides with the redesignation of the CTC, and then we do an annual update every year as well. You all review and approve the annual operating report that's submitted by the Sunshine Line every year that reports on trips and revenues and other performance measures for both Sunshine Line and all the coordination contractors in Hillsborough County. We're also responsible for processing any grievances that may come up that can be handled in an informal manner. So there's a grievance subcommittee that's formed every year. Members are appointed every 2 years. We haven't had a grievance in several years, luckily. So, but that is another role of this board at the end of the day. And then, of course, supporting Sunshine Line staff and providing transportation. Sunshine Line provides service in 2 ways. There's door-to-door service for clients who live outside of Park's service area or are physically unable to ride Park buses. And then we provide bus passes or subsidized Park paratransit for those within Park's service area. A little bit of revenue trends. I figured you all might find this helpful. This is from fiscal year 2018 to fiscal year 22. There's CTD funding on the bottom, and then county cash in the middle, and then total funding at the top. The CTC tends to get some kind of straight funding from various government agencies, such as the Department of Elder Affairs, Department of Juvenile Justice, stuff like that. Over the years, it's a little inconsistent, but you can see CTD funding is mostly consistent. It's fallen over the past 5 years. The amount of county cash that we've gotten has kind of fluctuated, but is generally increasing. For total funding, you've seen a bit of an increase between 2018 and 2020, pretty significant increase. Yeah. And then since the pandemic, kind of remaining somewhat stable. A 5-year trip trend. You can see system-wide trips at the top. Took a major dip during the pandemic, but is largely rebounded. CTC trips also took a pretty significant drop during the pandemic, but is also rebounded in the last fiscal year. This is both bus pass trips and door-to-door trips as well. Those are current challenges and opportunities. Just a reminder, the TDSP identified the limited fixer-up bus service and related funding for that. The land use and low density development patterns, as well as awareness of resources. Some progress we've made is working with the city of Tampa on the comprehensive plan update. So that the city, in their comprehensive plan, is asked to help coordinate Sunshine Line services and awareness of resources. The last evaluation recommended continuing to restore service levels to pre-COVID and reinstating Saturday service. And another thing for you all to be aware of that's coming up, there's been a lot of discussion about a regional MPO merger. So merging the MPOs of Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties. That will likely be studied the next couple of years. State law says that there's a local coordinating board housed within each MPO. So if the MPO can merge, this local coordinating board would be merged with the MPO, the local coordinating boards of Pinellas and Pasco County. So that's definitely something to be aware of as we kind of move forward. Sorry about that. I don't know how that would look exactly. Obviously, like the Agency for Persons with Disabilities has a representative on the Pasco board and the Pinellas board. So that's something to be worked out, something to be studied, and I encourage you all to be involved to the extent possible in those discussions as they try to move forward. Any questions and comments? That's kind of the I see that's a question. I don't want to, you want to recognize her?
Yes, please. You're right.
What connection does Sunshine Line have with HART? Do they receive any funding from HART?
No, there's no funding from HART, no. It's Sunshine Line purchases bus passes from HART, both is it daily and monthly passes, right, Jerry? That's it, my knowledge. Anything else, Jerry, that you could talk about?
Yeah, so with our bus driver, we purchase our passes from them, the daily, the monthlies, and we help with the Heart Plus fares as well for discounted passes for that. Coordinate with our evacuation working group, emergency operations, and look to work together, but we don't, no funding between us, just from what we purchase from them.
Is there any type of partnership or relationship between HART and Sunshine Line? Or are they two different entities?
They're technically different legal entities. Got different governing boards, different boards, different directors. I serve on HART, so that's why I'm here. But anyway, the only other connection or relationship that they have is HART has a specific service area, and then beyond that service area is where the Sunshine Line comes in, picks up, to the individual houses.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so Jude.
Yeah, cheers, thanks. So, and just to elaborate, so a coordinated approach and effort is key to success for the county as well. So in the last 4 months, we've met with 6 different members of HART's team. So in just yesterday, we met with some of their planners and their chief delivery officer. So we're recognizing the having to rebuild that relationship and work and coordinate. So right now, we are making an effort to collaborate and be on the same page with their new team over there. So we're making that effort. And I think I've got here 6 different staff members that we're working with on just making sure that we're in the same page, that we're working and collaborating together, and that we know exactly what each other's purpose is, what we do, and on a coordinated front. So again, we do separate services. We service everything outside of HART service area, but we want to collaborate to make sure there's overlap with our bus pass program. When they change routes, that shifts who our clients are as well. So we monitor that through their website. And so just working on a better relationship and just coordinated effort on that front. But I hope that answers, but we're working toward continuing to strengthen that relationship.
Does. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Thank you. Maybe I'm missing something on the quick explanation of the merger. Please help me, but I was trying to think of the timeline, and also what would that mean if I understood correctly, you were saying this sort of board would merge with the other counties boards. How would that work with our BOCC or their BOCC? How is that all, would the funding then all be blended to a regional thing? I have a number of questions, I guess. I'm sorry.
All good questions. No need to apologize. Still a lot to be worked out. I took a review of the Florida State Code regulations, and basically there is a CTC designated for each county. So at least as far as I know, the BOCC of Hillsborough County would remain as the CTC. The regional LCD, if that comes to fruition, would be recommending a CTC for each county in its service area, right? So right now for Pasco County, I think it's either PCPT, the Public Transit Agency, or their Board of County Commissioners. In Pinellas is PSTA, here is BOCC. So I would hope that that would just continue, but there would be just a designation for each county, but the regional board would kind of be making that decision. As far as timeline goes, I'd have to get back to you on it. It's kind of an ongoing discussion. Is it the Southern Coast Transportation Planning Alliance? They met a few months ago, and there was that's the coordinating board for the 3 counties MPOs. And they seem to be generally interested in moving in that direction. The TPO board seems generally interested in moving in that direction. There would have to be a study. There's a lot of federal nuances to work out as far as, is there's an MPO designated for each county? That would have to be designated by the federal government. We have a regional long-range plan in place, a regional TIP, a regional public participation planning process. There's a lot to be worked on.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna presume you'll keep us abreast of what's going on.
Yes, the agency will definitely keep you abreast.
How often do they meet?
The Central Transportation Planning Alliance, is it every 2 months? Monthly.
So,
Alice? Yeah. Your mic.
I'm Allison Gale, so with the TPO. So there's really nothing, no action right now. The only really real action happening is there's been a direction to do a study for how to merge the MPOs by the end of December this year, by the end of this year. Other than that, there's a number of proposals out there about how to merge the boards, have the required products delivered to the Federal Highway Administration. But so that's about what's happening right now. I think if it comes to pass that they merge MPOs, then they will have to actually further work out the details and coordinate reports. But we can definitely keep you updated at every meeting on what's going on. There's just not a lot going on right now.
So this would pertain to the 3 counties that you had only for us as it relates to us?
That's what it's, the kind of half the Bay transportation management areas. Where it's going to be,
That was
There's a lot that has to happen for this to come together. It's going to take a while. Any other questions? I did have a question for you.
Hi. This is Deborah LaCanta. Hi, this is Deborah LaCanta. I have a question regarding the, there has been like a coordination with PSTA with the Tri-County trips. However, my understanding is that PSTA will not be doing the Tri-County anymore. They will only be applying for a grant where the trips start in Pinellas County, and the other CTCs have to apply for their own grant through that process and then coordinate. If a client starts in Pinellas, comes to Hillsborough, then Hillsborough would have to pick up the trip and take them back to Pinellas. Is Sunshine Line as a CTC looking to apply for that grant to continue this process that they've already started?
So with that, so with our discussion with PSDA and Ross, the cross-county trips for all citizens will continue, and we plan to continue that partnership. So what should be changing within their new ISD application with that grant is not doing the in-county trips for Hillsborough and Pasco individually, just for cross-county. So they're taking out the individual county-specific for that program. We are working with PSA to see what we can do in the state to work with that contract still to provide in-county trips for those nights and weekends with that same type of service. But that cross-county piece of it, from my understanding that we've met with PSA, they're continuing to keep that cross-county piece for Pasco and Hillsborough in it, to and from both ends for all the residents, but it's just the in-county trips within that program that will be changing. That'll be coming out of that grant.
Okay, my understanding is when I talked to Ross just recently, there was some reason that you probably need to speak to them about, that they were not able to do the trips generating back from Hillsborough or Pasco into Pinellas. So I'm not sure when you had your meeting, but is there some way we can follow up to make sure that those trips continue? And if you as a CTC need to apply for that grant?
Yeah, we'll follow up with Ross and PSDA and make sure that we're on the same page, because it does sound very conflicting from different perspectives. And Karen's here as well, so I'll work with Karen to make sure we get hold of Ross and clarify if there's anything different. And we'll bring that back to TPO, and we can make sure that it's shared.
Yeah, I don't know when the grant process is ending for that grant. And again, my understanding from Ross was that they're only going to be applying for the grant for Pinellas County. For trips generating in Pinellas, going out of Pinellas is fine, but not coming back in. That the other CTCs had to apply. So I appreciate the follow-up. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, my question for you was, the last 6-8 months, Hearts had numerous permutations of a series of route changes. Have they been talking to you at all as part of their process, or is it right, kind of playing catch up?
So so in Karen's here, she's our business compliance. She's the one that helps track with the route changes. So she might have a better understanding on that conversation. I know with Catherine Sanchez and their customer service team, my manager, they're in conversation all the time. But from the operational with shifts and different things, that's what we focused. We've met with Omar, with Jesus, with Catherine, with Stephen, with Bobby. So all these different people from Hart in the last few months to try to bring that through and build that a little bit more to be in that conversation. But I know Karen, if she can recognize to kind of discuss a little more on that.
Please.
Typically, I mean, if there's a major change, they will notify us. They don't normally get the changes from the GTFS files when they're updated.
You say hopefully. I mean, if we need to do a better job.
They don't normally consult with us when Hart's going to make a route change. They don't normally let us know if there's going to be a major route change because it impacts, Hart Plus clients versus.
Maybe they should. Okay, all right.
And that's what we're focusing on.
Okay. I'll take that back. Yes, sir.
Thank you for that question, because it raises in my mind, how do you notify the public who rely on either the Sunshine Line or Hart at this time? If a route changes and suddenly someone who has been doing Hart now is eligible for Sunshine Line, do they have to go through a reapplicant? I'm just thinking of some of the more elderly people I know with dementia and things that are going to be really confused.
That's why it's the question.
I
Because
appreciate
I
it.
know that there's relationships that have to be established, broken, or reestablished, or whatever, in order for there to be continuity between the different lines. I'll go back to Hart with that, make sure that you guys get included with the front end of some of these discussions, so that, and they change very rapidly, but if you're involved with it, you need to do what you need to do at this level to make sure that your participants and your members and residents are covered too, because that's, when it happens, it's too late, they can be stuck. So, okay, thank you, it's good, that'll work good. Okay, go ahead, Josh, I'm sorry. Anything else? All right, any other questions? Okay, is that all the staff updates
Yes, for the workshop.
for the workshop? Next is public comment. Public comment from anybody, virtual or physically present. Don't seem to be any discussion by the board on the comments for the workshop. Here to be none, workshop is adjourned. Okay, we'll move right into the regular meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. And again, any public comment, either virtual or in person.
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes,
Did we have anybody additional arrive? Sorry, my count was off as far as the quorum.
yes, you did, please.
Mike Lacy, APD.
Emily Hugart, ACA.
So,
Mark Harshbarger, Division of Line Services.
there we go.
Cassandra Blaylock.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay. No public comment. If you have a motion, we have a membership copy of the minutes for February 24th. Everybody's had a chance to look at it. Take a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Move to approve by Glenn Brown. Do we have a second?
Seconded, Indira Chambers.
Okay. We have a motion to approve. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Anybody opposed? Motion is approved. Okay. We have some action items. First action item is election member at large Joshua Barber.
Everybody, this is just a carryover from the last meeting. So TPO bylaws require us to elect officers every year. There are no term limits for officers. So we have to hold an organizational meeting every year. Last meeting, we elected Gloria Mills as the vice chair. I am hoping to elect a member at large who serves as the chair if the chair and the vice chair are unavailable. So basically how this works is we'll take nominations until there are no more nominations. Then we'll hold a vote. as soon as a person reaches a majority, they'll be elected as officer at large. If there is only one nomination, that person will serve. Council member, I know you have offered to serve as member at large, but if you want to open it up to nominations.
Okay, yeah, I've offered to serve as a member at large, but if there's any other nominations, that we have time to put forward. Do we have any nominations for member at large?
Does he need a nomination?
Yeah.
I'll nominate Councilman Schuster.
And I'll second it.
Any other nominations?
Any nominations? Okay, nominations are closed.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Good job. Next, we have the Community Transportation Coordinator CDC service rates for fiscal year 23-24. Karen Smith of the Sunshine Line, you're ready.
Josh is fine.
Yeah, there should be right there,
Oh, yeah.
the one on the right. Yep.
Good morning. Each year, the CTC is required to complete a rate worksheet that we submit to the TD Commission. It's used to calculate two things, the total cost per trip for the system for our trips and the rate that the TD grant reimburses us for each trip. It's the worksheet. Like I said, it's a state's designated worksheet. We input the revenue and expenses for the current year. They're there, but it uses next year's requested budget and the estimated trips and miles for next year to calculate what is projected to rate our costs will be for next year, and that's what's used to determine the rates for the grant. And then the rate worksheet and those rates are included as part of the TPIS. So they're, like I said, they're used to determine the rates for the grant. It does not change the amount of funding that we receive from the grant. The total grant amount is determined by a formula that the state has already determined. The grant cycle July through June. The expected grant for this coming July will be 2.6 million, including the 10% match. And that will not change regardless of what the reimbursement rates are. It just determines the rate at which we draw down that fund, those funds. Like I said, it includes the estimated figures for next year. And the grant reimburses portion of the cost of the trip. It varies each year depending on how the formula works out. Last year it was about 55%. This year it will be, assuming this gets approved, it'll be about 45% of the actual cost. The rate worksheet itself is a very long, involved worksheet that should be included in your complete agenda package. At the end result on the very last page is that the reimbursement rates for the grant starting July 1st, assuming this is approved, will be $38.68 for ambulatory trip, $66.31 for a wheelchair trip, which includes a wheelchair probe that requires a reduced load, and $20.65 per passenger for group trips. Group trips are 5 more people going altogether to the same place at the same time. I feel like I lost train of thought there. The TD Commission staff have already reviewed the worksheet. We sent it ahead of time so that they already looked at it and had questions, so that any of their questions will be addressed in their review. They have tentatively approved it, so the board approves it. So that's already been done. And I can say they would be the rates for the grant that starts July 1st. So we just need approval from this board of the rate worksheet so that it can be used.
So we need approval for this board. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Everybody stated any questions regarding the rates or discussion? Could it be done? Can we have, yes, sir.
Yeah, the amount that you said, the 2.6 million, where, how is that different from previous years?
It is about 100,000 less than the current year.
Because of ongoing COVID kind of situation? Or-
It's just how that formula plays out, and that's a relatively new formula they just took a couple of years ago.
Close enough, though.
Yeah, it's, you know, it takes the trips that we built in the past year, so COVID has affected it a little.
Party Friday. So am I understanding that the reimbursement rate is being reduced?
The
It's
reim-
less?
The reimbursement per trip is not less, the total grant.
Okay.
Because what is, the total grant amount is determined by the formula based on population and mileage.
Right,
The bigger, you know,
right.
so.
So we're increasing the numbers of trips. That's the trajectory right now.
Right, we're expecting an increase in trips for next year.
So how is the less reduction of 100,000 or so impact us? Do we have an idea?
We should have enough, the county funds more than the grant does, so we should cover those with the overmatch that we already have budgeted for grant, so for the program, so we should be able to cover those.
So we're,
And as we increase trips over the next year, we're expecting productivity to be better because of lower trip numbers have, they create some inefficiencies. So we expect group trips in particular to increase as services continues to expand. So
Group trips help efficiency, is that what I'm
Yeah.
hearing?
they really do. And we should be able to expand those as we get more drivers because aging services was closed for a long time. Only open to that for now, so that's been slower to increase. And other social shopping. Efficiency should increase over the next, continue to increase over the next year. So it shouldn't make us have to do less trips.
how much of the grant from last year did we utilize, right? Or are we projected to utilize? Did we stay within our grant amount from last year?
Oh, yeah, we always draw
Always do.
down the entire grant. At least as many trips beyond that.
You know,
So I'm going to presume this is always presented to us, but I'd like to, based on what you just said, I'd like, if you would, make sure that you provide to us and let us know when you speak about the efficiencies that you're anticipating. I think that would be something important for us to make an ask for, make sure that we see what that is so we can track it.
Is that something that can be reported back to the board?
Yeah, and we can include it, and we can probably present back the annual report too.
I do have one follow-up question to the shortfall by the grant. Does the county make that up?
Yes.
Okay. So we still say we're not losing any.
Right, it's not reduced.
Okay, that's okay. All right, good deal. And any other questions regarding the CTC rates? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve them as published.
So move.
Party Friday.
Party Friday.
We have a
Greg
second.
Priscilla, second.
Second. Who's second?
Craig.
Fred, okay. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
So, okay, motion is approved. Thank you very much. Okay, last action item is the 2023 Transportation Disadvantage Service Plan update. Mr. Barber, you're up.
Everyone, good morning. Here to present our minor update of the Transportation Disadvantage Service Plan. If you'll recall, we did a major update that was approved. That would have been October of 2021, I believe, was our major update. We did, an extensive public outreach process, updated demographic information. We came up with a whole new list of goals, objectives for us to pursue. This is really just following up on that. Like I said, a pretty minor update. A quick overview of the TDSP. It's a tactical plan that includes a development plan, a service plan, and quality assurance standards. We coordinate the development of it with the CTC and the planning agency. It's reviewed and approved by you all, and then submitted to the CTD for final approval at the end of the day. The development plan contains a few sections. There's a general introduction, so some background, organizational chart. We do a plans review to make sure we're kind of coordinating with the jurisdictions, part. There's a public participation section. Last year we did interviews with coordination contractors, the 5310 agencies, as well as other social service providers throughout the county. There's a service area description, demographics. We do a forecast of the TD population through 2045. That's a worksheet provided by the state. We conduct a needs assessment and identify barriers to coordination as well. And we come up with goals, objectives, strategies, as well as how we're going to implement those. The service plan contains a few items. There's operations, quality assurance, and the cost and revenue allocation, rate structure, justification, which you all just approved in part. So there's the operational requirements, coordination contractor's purpose. We have the complaint grievance procedures process included in there as well. The CTC's evaluation process is spelled out in the TDSP. That is the standards against which the evaluation occurs every year. So safety, road calls, customer service, etc. And then, we provide a vehicle inventory. There's a system safety program plans, and the CTC certifies every year that they're operating safely in line with state requirements for transportation operators. So some of the demographics, there's 20% population increase from 2010 to 2020. 12% of the county has a disability. We're expected to have a significant increase in the number of people over the age of 65 through 2025, and some general population growth moving forward. We updated the available transportation services. It hasn't changed significantly, but we did update it to reflect the existence of TD Tampa Bay once again, providing cross-county trips. The service analysis remains largely the same. There's the needs assessment, the limited fixed route on the transit service, the regional needs, the increasing demand from the growing population, and some barriers continue to be funding, the land use patterns, awareness of resources across the county. And like I said, a minor update. I'm just asking you all to approve the updated TDSP and forward to the CTD for approval.
Excuse me, any questions for Josh regarding this plan update? There to be none, entertain a motion for approval.
Motion in your group. Sorry.
Indira Chambers.
Second.
That's passed.
Did you get that? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Likewise, no. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay. Next, we have our status reports. Sunshine Line update, Scott Clark.
So Jerry Stickney for Scott Clark, Sunshine Line. So with our update, we were able to get 5 new operators to hit the road in the last 2 weeks. So that was with more recruitment, with their pre-service training. We've got active recruitment that'll be posted right now for this week. It should be up tomorrow for the next class that we're going to get. We're looking for another 5 to 7 drivers to push through that onboard training. So awesome to have those people. And it's nice to see things kind of start lining up. And we're looking at this past year, we increased about just shy of 20,000 trips last year. We're projected with this cycle to end about another 20,000 more trips from the year prior. So we're pushing through. Our on-time performance for April is at 91.8%, with a standard of 98. We missed that last year at 89.7 with our driver shortage and everything. So we made a big focus on looking at those pieces of it. I really take this time now to also give a shout out to our operators and our customer service team. Over last year, our customer service team, their answer rate is at 98% for calls incoming, and currently at a 22-second hold time. So,
Wow.
you know, they're processing and they're doing a fantastic job. And that's with a 4% increase from right now to last year with new clients and with the increase of trips. So just want to make sure I give a big shout out to our customer service team and our operations team out in the field. So let me rethink because I got excited for a second and lost my train of thought. So again, we'll continue to recruit and fill those final vacancies. We've focused on outreach, you know, letting people know, you know, we've got to remember to tell our story and let the community know what we offer and why we're here, why we exist. We've been at 4 different outreaches since our last meeting. We're looking at a targeted social media approach, something that I don't think we've done in a while or that I know of. So I'm working with communications to see how we can create different posts and have it being targeted for specific areas within Hillsborough County. So that's on the board. We've also, with our call center, we have a message of the day. So when you call in, there'll be a little spiel, and we've added in there discussions with TD Tampa Bay with the cross-county trips. All of our reps, you know, they're informed as they're discussing, ask people if they're interested in that service. So we're pushing in and making sure that we let people know, you know, just let them know what we have. And with that cross-county trips, some data that we've gotten from PSTA are in-county trips so far, total from November to March. These are both stats from end of March. We've had 33 clients use the service for a total of 256 trips. And it's broken down from the first month was 25, and in February to March, it went from 70 to 112. So some of the outreach seems to be showing and working in that regard. The cross-county trips, we've got a total of 43 clients that have used it for 205 trips. So, and that's from, again, November to the end of March. And that outreach that went from, in February, from 38 trips to 60. So it appears some of that is working. So we'll continue to push that and move forward. And I've got it written down. We'll reach out with PSTA and make sure we clarify that cross-county trip. And biggest thing here, you know, make sure we track the data and see the need and see, you know, what we do moving forward. The last couple of things I had about HEART, you know, we are, as I mentioned earlier, we had meetings with different HEART members in the last few months trying to build that relationship and work and collaborate together. And we'll continue to do that as well. And then the final thing I have, then pending any questions, is hurricane season's coming. It's going to be here. It seems like Florida is an 11-month cycle of hurricanes, it seems. So we're going to hope for a slow season. But with our team, we've been working with emergency operations. We've been a part of Readiness Week, working with HEART and School Board. We've got a great model that I would probably look to expand on in our next meeting, working with School Board and HEART with the hub and spoke model, and really looking to have a great plan for Hillsborough County for evacuations, for special needs, for our general population. Very proud of the team that works on that. So I'll be bringing some more information for that for our next meeting to share just what our plan is, and I think it works very well. Utilizes the fixed route system with the transfer stations. It's doing more with less resources, because that's the reality. That's what we have, is less resources. So we were able to test it the last few hurricanes, the last few storms, and it's worked pretty well. So it's officially going into the Emergency Operations Center's plan, as this is what we're doing, a hub and spoke model. So I'll elaborate more on that in our next meeting, but it's exciting to have that moving forward in that partnership with them. And that's the last of my update that I have, pending any questions.
Jan?
Yes.
So Jerry, in your estimation, this year-over-year growth, 20,000 trips, is that a significant growth for you guys?
It's significant for our door-to-door specifically. So for being at a 54% driver capacity and then growing, I think it is significant. But we're still, for the door-to-door trips, reaching to get back to those pre-pandemic numbers for the specific door-to-door aspects. And as Karen mentioned, the efficiency in that group trips, that's what's going to help us get there. And with our added staff, these 5 operators that we just brought on, those focuses are going to be group trips with supporting aging services. So specifically for those group trips. And these last vacancies that we have, those focuses are bolstering our group trip process. it's a bigger bang for your buck. You can get more in for more resources and provide better. So I see that growth. It's substantial for where we are now with the limited resources, but we've got room to grow.
So
For sure.
is there a strategic plan for adding more operators just in case, year over year, you continue to grow at the rate that you're growing?
So it is in our thought process, and I've worked with our management and budget and trying to think about that. Right now, I have 11 vacancies still. So it's a process, and from posting to onboarding to, we have a 5-week training program, so it takes time to get that through. So it's definitely in my mind, and we're watching. And one of the other pieces that we have that we'll be posting is a taxi contract that we utilize for those long distance trips, those overflow things during the week that we, just doesn't fit within a route. We look at efficiency, it's a shared ride service, but with not having that contract in place currently, and we're working to get that, it creates some challenges for not being the most efficient, but we're here to provide service. So we've got to look at that. And with those all things in place, I think we'll be able to grow, be more efficient with the resources we have and the vacancies that we're going to fill. And then I think in my brain now, which my brain is, if you can see, it's a little weird, it bounces everywhere. But I do see that projection in the next 2 to 3 years, potentially, looking to need to really seek out how we can look at needing new operators, new service. The growth in the east side of the county is huge. And that's why this partnership and creating that cohesiveness with Hart and understanding what their plans are, as it was mentioned, the collaboration, and it's just got to see where their future is going, because that's what we're here for. And as human services transportation, I hope I don't have a job, right? Transportation disadvantage, I hope it doesn't exist. That should be our goal. The reality, will that happen? Probably not. But I mean, that's what we want to push towards. So long-winded answer to say it is kind of in my thought for a few years forward, but really focusing on those vacancies and then being efficient within what we have. So we got room to grow with what we have once we get full.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, hands are going up. So,
Jerry, I heard you say you have 11 vacancies. What is your unit allocation for operators?
For our total operators that we have.
Your total allocation, you've got 11 vacancies, so how many are filled?
So I've got, the math, so I've got 56 operators.
Okay.
Positions.
Okay.
With 11 vacancies.
Gotcha.
So that is 54, no, 44. 44.
40.
See, math's not my thing.
45, gotcha.
45.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay, I was just trying to get your,
on the spot.
what your percentage is. I'm school district.
Yeah, so we're sitting around the 83, 85%. And and the reality is we got those 5. We had 2 that decided to retire and resign, so it's just competing market with funds for different operators and just people that, it's wonderful. We've got people that have been with us for 30, 40 years, 20 years, and they're ready to retire, so we'll deal with that. And that's, the reality of it as well. So, but yeah, so we're sitting at 83, 85% right now.
I have a question. You said something about you haven't had the contracts out. Are you looking to put an RFP out for, to help with that transportation?
Yes, we are.
And will you use just one contractor or will it be multiple contractors?
So as of right now, we'll plan to probably use with one contractor, but it'll be open to T&Cs, to any other. So it just depends on what we get. The last RFP we put out for this contract, we only got one vendor that applied. So it just really depends on that piece of it. We'll be sure we do the outreach for that as well, when it gets posted, for anyone that might be interested to look at it, to apply, and, we can go from there.
Thank you.
Yeah, one quick question. We've talked in the past about the Saturday trips.
Yep.
And where are we on being able to reinstate Saturday trips?
Yeah, so my goal right now is looking at a September timeframe, but also in the same sense of looking at not just checking a box for Saturday service. So I'm really looking at this partnership with PSTA, and so the Tallahassee, actually, they worked on collaborating with utilizing their contract as well for nights and weekend service and things of that nature. So essentially, with Pinellas County, only doing their grant for the cross-county stuff, not the in-county. We're looking to see how we can leverage that contract to possibly support, and that's how we potentially provide evenings and weekend service. It'll allow people to book on demand. They'll allow to choose what they want. They can go to church on Sunday. So it's not using the resources in our operators, because again, that's a cost. We talk about efficiency and other aspects. And, you know, we had a high cancel rate for Saturday service as well. And we had the operators we had with the growth in the county the last few months, we couldn't cover everything either. You know, so I think we're in conversation with Pinellas, with the state, to make sure that we are allowed to and follow the processes. But September's run, we're really looking to have that. And then for right now, you know, we do have the TV Tampa that they can use on nights and weekends. But yeah, September is really where I'm looking to make sure we have something in line, and that's the goal.
Good, next.
This is kind of a number specific one, so you can ballpark me. I'm sure it's not in front of you. Do you happen to know, like with 11 people short, what each driver's, like how your capacity would increase with each driver hired?
So we average, and we look to have about 11 to 12 trips per vehicle per day. And that's not if you're doing door-to-door single trips. Of course, when you go group trips, you know, that's where you get your bigger bang for your buck. You can do, say you got a full, even 10 on a bus, you have 4 group trips back and forth, you're looking at 80 trips in one day for one bus. So, but on average, we look at that 10 to 12 trips per vehicle right now. And then it gauges from there. So, thank you. Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I work really closely with Aging Services, and, you know, they let me know that, you know, they're unable, you all are unable to transport new adult daycare and congregate meal clients throughout the county due to your capacity issues. It's really, you know, it's having an impact, a human services impact, and also an impact of pulling down grant funds. And they said April 24th that you all should be able to start serving those new clients. Has that happened? And if not, what's the plan to do so?
Yeah. So those 5 operators that started, that was 5 new routes that started for Aging Services specific. One of the biggest challenges with the adult daycare centers itself is the 2-hour time frame that they have. So those clients can't be on a vehicle for more than 2 hours in a given day. So that's 1 hour there, 1 hour back. And that's the requirement that they have for their adult daycare. So that causes a lot of issues with us trying to stay in compliance with those trips specifically. And with their nutrition sites opening up well prior, we were able to build some of those where those are easier. They don't, we have the 90-minute, you're not going to be on for long, but with the adult daycare, it's really difficult. When we were looking at 3 to 4 people per bus, and that's the most we can really do to stay within that 60-minute window. And that is really our toughest piece right now. And that's the challenging aspect of it. So we're trying to see about and that's why the rest of these operators, the 11 vacancies, they're all going to be focused on group trips to try to help alleviate that. So we did get those 5 new routes for them. And then it's just looking to coordinate. We're creating
To clarify though, you know, has that started or not? Are you able to take on some of those new clients?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it did start. Those 5 new routes were created. They've started, and that's happened. So yeah, so they're there, and then we'll continue to grow. And our team, they work with the centers every day. We've created a new platform for how they can send in requests to be efficient. We're looking at potential radius and looking at different aspects to be more efficient. So we're trying to collaborate and trying to see the best we can, but it's
And I realize the
difficult.
struggle is difficult. You have to understand the vulnerable individuals who are riding the buses, usually very frail, you know, being on a bus longer than an hour.
Yeah.
That standard is there for a reason.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why we don't want to take on more, because we won't be able to comply to that. And that's what we're trying to figure out. So it's a lot of drawing board, and again, more drivers makes it an easy process, but it's time. And
I'm really glad to hear that you all have started to enroll those new clients and getting them to the adult daycare. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
Sandra, hold on just 1 second. To that same subject matter, do we have, how many vehicles do we have to throw at that particular issue?
So with the 44 operators, that's what we have that we could allocate. But with that, we also have our dialysis trips, our other medical.
We just hired 5. We have 5 vehicles for them to go at it.
Yes, yes.
All right, so you got 11 vacancies, so you have 6 more that you're looking for, or 11. Do we have 11 vehicles that they can go?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
Yes.
so we have sufficient capacity regarding the machinery.
Correct. And sorry, if I can add on to the agents, I have some stats. From per month, we've increased from September of last year to February of this year at 84% of the trips that we've been providing to aging services. So we've got that increase. We're at, we almost doubled from 1,100 to over 2,000. So we're steadily, and I'm watching, we're increasing, we're meeting monthly, discussing about it. Even December, at the end of the year, we're at 1,697. February, we're up over 2,000, we're at 2,050. So we're increasing those as we go. So we're not just saying, we can't do this, we're not adding anyone else. We are working through to continually slowly. It's just, it's a slow build as we try to be efficient in what we're doing. There is growth month to month. It's just not as fast as we would like. So, and I can share those stats with you as well. But I pulled from September to February, and I've got them all. So.
Sandra, you're good? Okay. Can we get any kind of bi-monthly basis as to where we stand with some of these statistics?
That would be helpful. Thank you.
In time for our meetings. That might be helpful. Answering questions to people back home.
Yeah.
Aren't you later volunteer? Okay, any other questions? To be none. Okay, we'll move on to the hard update.
I'm sorry, Chair, one moment. What documentation did you request?
A summary of the statistics that he just presented, trips, efficiency, on-time performance, hold times, vehicles on the road.
A number of new clients you're able to get to adult daycare deal sites. I guess anyone waiting to access that service because of capacity issues.
This can be built up over time. Let's get with something, and then we'll add on as we need to when we can. Is that sufficient?
Yes, thank you.
Good deal. Thank you much. Okay, Omar, I see you. Good morning. Aren't you glad we got more work for you? Omar Alvarez from the Heart staff.
Omar, we can't hear you.
Oh.
You guys hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is somebody pulling up my presentation, or can I present from here?
I am working on it,
Okay,
but if
no
you would
problem.
prefer to present, I can certainly make you a presenter.
If that's easier, I mean, I'm good either way.
Sure.
All right. Let me know if you guys can see the presentation on the screen.
Good.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me this morning. Wanted to take you guys through a presentation today on our travel training program. So really excited about reviving this program. Essentially, it's a program that we had here at Heart a couple years ago, and I think through COVID really is when this kind of trickled away. So just to give you guys an overview of what the travel training program is, it's really an opportunity for us to promote the service to all different communities, whether you're new to the system, whether you have disabilities, or whether you're a passenger that's elderly. Those are the groups essentially that we targeted with this program. And really, it's an opportunity to introduce somebody to the world of public transit, introduce them to all the different kind of services that we have, from paratransit to fixed route to the streetcar, and really to advocate for some independence for some of our community out there. We really started thinking about this through this month, or as we prepared for Autism Awareness Month. We're targeting bringing this program back to life by July. So right now we're doing a lot of the pre-work, setting up our SOPs, getting some of the staff that was involved with this program in the past that are now in different departments kind of re-engaged in this. I will say from that perspective, it's been really exciting because whether somebody's in safety, planning and scheduling, marketing, or communications, we've had a lot of people that have gotten back or that we've gotten back together to revive this program. So it's exciting to have that kind of talent in-house and also be able to kind of learn from the past and what they've done. So this is some of the information that we would put out from a marketing standpoint in terms of getting and pushing the word out for the travel training program. It's a free program. It's one-on-one sessions. You get to ride with a HART member, and they take you basically from your origin to your destination and just kind of show you that process. So what are some of the topics that people learned, right? So it's an overview of HART and transit, how to find your bus stop, how to pay your fare, how to plan your trip, how to call customer service, anything that just involves kind of your day-to-day as a transit passenger is what we went over from the training program perspective. So what does the program look like? Really, it starts from your destination, right? It starts from your origin, whether that's your home, a bus stop, community center, whatever it is, we meet you there. From there, we train you everything from walking to the bus stop to just some safety tips on, depending on where you are, and then learning how to pay with various payment methods, understanding the schedules and how to read those, and then learning just different tips and landmarks on accessibility, right? So that's something is like, hey, there's a McDonald's at the corner of your bus stop. Make sure you stand on this side of the street versus the other side of the street to make sure you're going in the right direction. So the program isn't just one day, one time. It really happens over a week-long period. The first day, the trainer just kind of walks you through it and they do it. And then from there, day 2, 3, 4, and 5, it's the passenger's opportunity to kind of do it on their own, but being guided by the travel trainer. We'll even do things like, on day 5, they'll ride the bus on their own, and our travel trainer will follow them in a vehicle to make sure they're getting off at the right stop and things of that sort. What we've learned through the program in the past is that repetition, specifically for our passengers with cognitive disabilities, repetition was the best way for them to learn. So let's talk a little bit about the successes of the program. And I would say this is really why we're bringing this program back, right? Like what we want to do is be able to kind of provide this service again. Training commendations. So you see there David Santos, who's in our safety department now. He's been a huge advocate of us trying to bring this program back. And what you see here is the certificate of achievement that we give at the end of the week. David was telling me how happy like people were whenever they got these certificates of achievement. The parents were really happy, and they really talked up the program and the impact it had, not just on them individually, but on the family as well. Another one here, you'll see this is from a mother of actually one of our trainees back in 2001. She was so excited about him being able to kind of travel on his own and kind of Brian feel that independence and go out there and be able to experience the system and Tampa on his own and be able to get a job and do all those kind of things. And then I'll talk a little bit about the internal impact. So here you have Monica Gonzalez, who's actually in one of my departments. She's in our planning department. She used to be a travel trainer. And she really talks about the passion and all the work that went into even before getting on a vehicle with a passenger. She was in that position for 2 years, and just the satisfaction that she got from watching someone grow throughout the program. I think this is huge for us internally. It's an opportunity for us to really go out there and do some great things in the community. And it's a great impact that we're having on the passengers, or we did have. And in terms of timeline, we're working April and May to kind of get all the back work done. We're going to start putting out some promotional pieces in terms of videos, what the daily passenger ride is like. And then by midsummer, once we kind of have all our partnerships in place, we're trying to work with the USF and McDonald's development. These are some places that we had partnerships with in the past with this travel training program. We're targeting mid-July to have this program out. Fully fleshed out and ready for the community. Now I'll turn it over to questions.
Greg? Yes. How do people go about applying for this or qualifying for it?
It's a simple phone call or an email. We send you an application, and then you just kind of fill out the questionnaire. And then from there, we set up some time as to when we can go out and train you. So I would say conceptually split this program into three, right? There's the piece of it that's for our passengers with cognitive disabilities. I would say that's the most intense program. That's the 5-day. There's the, hey, I'm new to Tampa. Can you meet me at the bus stop and just kind of show me how to get around? That's probably really just a day. And then there's our group outings where we go to like an, community center, and we've got our elderly community there, and we kind of show them as a group, kind of like, hey, let's go from the Marion Transit Center to the mall or whatever else it is. So the only one that needs an application is really that longer process, that 5-day program for cognitive disabled community. But it's a pretty straightforward application.
So just call apart and ask for your department, more or less, right?
Yeah, and remember, this program will start flowing out in July, so probably about June, we'll start putting out all the material, if I can go back.
And lastly, how many people are doing this?
So we're doing it in a couple different ways. So just to answer your first question, this is the kind of material you'll see that'll go out there in our socials, at our transit centers and things of that sort. So you'll have that number and then the website, and we'll have direct link where you can go and kind of get the application. In terms of how many staff we have internally, we're doing a couple of different, we're gonna test out a couple different concepts. So we've got 2 that are fully dedicated, that will be fully dedicated to this, and another 3 from other departments that used to be a part of this program that'll also be providing some time and hours for it. Additionally, we're also going to try to make this kind of an internal, I would say, volunteer program where we're going to go through each of the departments and have them have an opportunity to spend some time with our passengers. The first step will be that you get trained. So even me, I'm going to go through training with some of our previous travel training trainers on how to go out there and train passengers. The other thing too that we've also gotten some feedback on is local organizations might also want to go through our training to be able to be part of the program and train some of their individuals as well. So I think it'll be pretty robust. I'm really excited about the idea of us doing this round robin as well, where every department gets an opportunity to really have a connective tissue to our community and our riders. I think sometimes, if you're in a maintenance department or, some of these departments that are more special services or rather support services that don't get out there and don't get an opportunity to be in front of our passengers as much as a driver would, or even some of our planning and scheduling team or marketing team for that matter, it gives us an opportunity to really engage with the community. And I think for our employees, it's also an opportunity to create more connective tissue between what you do on a day-to-day basis and how that affects the community.
To your point, there are probably a half a dozen or so different agencies or representatives from different agencies throughout the county. Christina, you with senior citizens. HART has limited outreach to getting to these people outside of social media, putting it in the paper. Perhaps if you guys have individual newsletters or blurbs or websites, we can coordinate with Omar and his staff, his communication staff, so that information can be put up. Hey, HART has this training program. If we can come up with some kind of coordination between your groups and HART and Sunshine Light, obviously, we can reach more people throughout the county easier at any rate, if that's possible. I would urge you to reach out to Omar or me or get through Josh, and Josh can communicate, and we'll make sure that everybody, we touch as many people as we possibly can. Any other questions for Omar before I start? Okay, Josh?
Someone else have one? Does someone else have one?
Well, you have, yes, sir.
I just wanted to share with you, Omar, I work for Division of Line Services, and in the month of March, in our monthly district staff meeting with our district administrator, we had a representative from HART come and speak in March to our staff, do a travel training presentation. I forget her name, I think it was Ashley or Stephanie. She did a great presentation, but very comprehensive. And some of the questions from our staff had to do with bus shelters, and she kind of mentioned that there's a push with HART to kind of do some remodeling of some shelters and maybe, a brand new design, so be on the lookout for that. And that's helpful because, with extreme heat, sunlight, and, rain that comes intermittently in the summer, the presentation was great and very comprehensive. So we look forward to, maybe putting in for another presentation, maybe in the summer with our coordination with Tampa Lighthouse to have a presentation for our teenage group through the transition program for students in the summer, so that they can get more informed about how they can get maybe some travel training with HART. But we had a presentation at Division of Blind Services in March, and it was excellent. So thank you, Omar.
Oh, great, thank you. Yeah, and yeah, please reach out and then we can set something up for the summer. We'd definitely love to do that.
Omar, there was a few other items on the agenda for HART to speak to, specifically about updates to HART Plus eligibility. And then we had the complaint come through the TD board back in February, and we're kind of hoping you can speak to that and how that was resolved on your end. If you have any.
Yeah, so I'll speak to the eligibility program first. We're still working through the process of updating our technology, so some of that was related to that, but I can speak to it from a high level as to what our goal is. So right now, the eligibility program, the way it works is you fill out the application, you go to your doctor, and then we set you up for an appointment at the Marion Transit Center for you to come in and do an additional interview with us. What I'd like to do, and many agencies across the country do this too, so we're not, we're not the test dummy for this, for lack of a better word. I'd like to end that process at the point where your doctor stamps that application. To me, the minute that a medical professional, even if you come in for an interview with me or anybody on our staff, the minute that your doctor has stamped that application, to me, you're eligible. I don't think we need to bring you in for another interview for you to then to be grilled on that same application you filled out, and then have somebody who's not a medical professional. I am not a doctor in any sense of the word. I can barely handle needles. So I should not be making that kind of determination. In my view, it's the minute the doctor makes that determination and they say, yes, this makes sense, this is okay, I'm willing to put my stamp on this, they're good from an eligibility standpoint. And I'll give you a quick anecdote why I thought about this. I would say probably last July or August, I did a tour of the Marion Transit Center. When I got there in our waiting area, there was a passenger in a wheelchair waiting. And I asked her, are you waiting for an interview? She's like, no, I'm waiting for my ride, which is our HART Plus ride that gives you a ride back out of there. I was probably on that tour for a good hour and change. I come back downstairs and we're all leaving and the passenger is still there. So in addition to going through all these hoops of going to see her doctor, filling out this application, coming in for an interview, that's another hour out of her day of her just sitting there unproductively when she could have just been home. I don't think there's any additional value in us doing that additional interview unless there's some questions, which again, even then, we can do that over the phone or virtually versus making a passenger jump through all these additional hoops just to get a ride. In general, we don't really turn down a lot of people from an eligibility standpoint, so I don't see any additional risks from that standpoint. And that I would say is kind of the goal for the eligibility process, for it to evolve into that over the next few months or so. It's going to take a little more time than I thought it would, simply because we were going to rely on the recertifications and all that through the technology. So we're working on a CRM kind of in the meantime to kind of build that piece up. In terms of the follow-ups, I have Stephen Fields here with me this morning. Stephen, are you on? And he can actually answer some of those customer service questions that you had as a follow-up from the previous meeting.
I do see Stephen on, and he is self-muted.
Okay. In the meantime, does anybody have any questions about the eligibility or, kind of the track that we're trying to be on?
Yes. Hey, Omar, this is Mark. I work for Division of Blind Services again, and I just want to kind of give a shout out to Melissa Hernandez on the staff with HART Plus. She's an excellent communicator. I've actually communicated with her frequently about individuals who are consumers with us at Division of Blind Services who needed an application or had a question. Melissa Hernandez is very responsive and very professional. And unfortunately, I had an outdated application about maybe a year ago for someone, and she was kind enough to send me the updated application. And I've always had good experience communicating with Melissa Hernandez. So if you can pass that along, I appreciate her professionalism.
Thank you for that. Yeah, appreciate that. Definitely pass that along.
Mark Gill, on your list of many, many things to do, could you please put on there somewhere to escalate communication with the Sunshine Line when we're in the process of modifying routes and so forth? I realize that that's a moving target sometimes, but if we can make sure that we can coordinate with them so that they can be responsive with their clients.
Yeah, I was on mute earlier. I meant to reply to that and bring that up even before I started my presentation, but absolutely. I've already sent the message to my planning and scheduling group that let's just include a conversation with Sunshine Line in the beginning of our development for service changes. And specifically, if they're major service changes, once we get to the point where it goes to committee and board approval, make sure that, for those presentations, we already know that they've been involved. They've had some level of input, or at least informative, understand what the change is and how it could impact them. But yeah, absolutely happy to do that.
Sure, thank you. We're waiting for Stephen.
Yes, if Stephen's not available, can you all just send a written response, follow up on the complaint that we received, and I'll forward it on to the board.
He's trying to talk, but I think.
What about now? Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Hey, Stephen.
How you doing? Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. And this is a follow-up conversation that we had at one of the other meetings concerning one of our passengers. To begin, I want to offer my sincere apology to Miss Mary Schultz on missing a very important training at the International Plaza and for any inconvenience that she may experience that day. Next, I want to give you some context about the incident that happened. Our customer service representatives utilize Google Maps for the most updated information based on the rider's starting point, destination, and time of departure and arrival for safe and timely travel. This particular plan started with Route 8 at Palm River and 78th Street, heading eastbound to downtown with a connecting route to Route 10 at the Marion Transit Center. And her destination was the International Plaza, which is served by Route 15 and Route 32. After further investigating the incident, there should have been better communication to explain that the stop location and distance to the destination and regarding the interlining of the two routes of Route 10 and 32. And interline is that these are two routes that actually connect to each other, and one comes in as Route 32 and goes out as Route 10 on the same bus, and vice versa at the TAI rent-a-car facility from both the CRS and operator standpoint. Moving forward, we'll continue to work to discuss trip planning practices and customer service meetings with the CSRs to have them to ask probing questions and offer the best options to the customers with certain requirements that require fewer transfers and less walking, so that we were able to accomplish that.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions relating to Hart from this board? Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, let's move on to the old business for this board. The new business. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to announce everyone, this will be my last TDCB meeting. I will be taking another position at the state, but it's been a real pleasure and honor to work with you all, and really happy of all the work that we've accomplished. And thank you all for your service, of course.
We'll miss you. Hope the next person is at least as good as you.
Oh, shucks. I miss you all too.
So in the meantime, again, my name's Althea, Josh is on my team. I will be handling communications until we have a better board. So you'll be hearing from me. Thank you.
All right, the next meeting, the date is incorrect. It's June 23rd, 2023. 2022, that's all right. Anyway, any other comments, questions? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thank you all.
They all need to park the pass.
Bye.